we have a lovely little turtle friend being fed lettuce. And then on this side, we have a kid. I'm gonna be honest, I still think I prefer the left one. That life involves a pet turtle. It really does, which is just great. All right, y'all earned an entire Facecam stream, so I guess we're going to be having to do this with both the VTuber model and also Facecam. So this is going to be very weird for the YouTube audience. But we got some stuff to talk about today. We do, really and honestly. There's an ad for Married Life that was produced by a conservative culture center in Iran, and it is peak cringe propaganda. It is chef's kiss in how just awful it portrays people who don't go and deal with the regular nuclear family option of existing. So we are going to take a look at that. But first, let's get into the fan art section. This one is here from Jonah the Weeb. Because I could not decide which I liked more, I'm just going to post both versions. Which do you like more? There is this version of the Colored Justice suit, and then this one. I'm going to be honest, I am more for the cold color. I like cold colors more than warm colors. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the cold colors. But if you like warm colors more, let me know in the comment section below. Why not? The next one we have here is from Suris, another Kirby-inspired Suris. I really like drawing Suris like this. Plus, it helps me experiment with the slime texture. You know what? Keep using the slime as a way to experiment with things. It just works out that way. As always, everybody, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it in the fan art section of the Discord. With that all said, let's go ahead and move through to the next section. We have two of the same people. One is getting woken up by a person. The other is getting woken up by his alarm. One of them has a woven basket with bread, and the other one has pizza. I'm gonna be honest, I think I'll take the pizza. Do you mind, child? She just loudly... Thanks, Yumi. But we move on to the next part of here where it shows the pan out shot. He's sitting here. He's got a little, looks to be maybe a salad, some pizza, leftover soda, maybe. He's got a pet turtle, though. Look at that. Look at the turtle. He's got a little pet turtle. And then the other one, he's got a son and a wife. Let's keep going. I too love non-branded soda. The soda without a brand, because the brand makes it evil. So he pours the soda, and instead the wife pours him some juice. I don't know how to tell you guys, but flavored juices are actually worse for you than soda in a lot of regards. The sugar content is just god-awful, and the vitamin content in many cases is borderline negligible. And a lot of times the flavor is fake. In orange juice, actually, orange perfume is added because it's literally zombie juice. Soda versus juice. So at least in this life, we get a turtle, we get soda, and we get pizza. In this life, we get just bread, juice, and no turtle. I'm gonna be honest, I think I know which one I prefer. I actually know which one I prefer. Give me the fucking turtle. Said soda's totally worse. Not really. The only thing that makes soda worse than sweet fruit juice is the fact that it by itself does not contain any vitamin content. But I hate to tell you this, but juice being healthy is a fucking spook. I don't know how I have to explain that. So again, on this side here, we have a lovely little turtle friend being fed lettuce. And then on this side, we have a kid. I'm gonna be honest, I still think I still prefer the left one. That life involves a pet turtle. It really does, which is just great. He's combing himself out. Okay, so I like how when it shows them going to work, the guy on the left is in an unironed shirt. But that isn't just an unironed shirt. Hold on, I'm gonna see him move around in that thing. No, that's not just unironed. That's what happens. Hold on. We got face cam time. I guess I can do visual gags now. We're gonna go ahead and get just a little bigger here. This is how I hang up my shirts by hanging them up like so, right? I hang them up like this. They get hung. This man's, if we look at that shirt like that man's, he has to hang his shirts up like this. He just balls them up. Who balls up a shirt? Who does that? Hang your shirts up. Fold your shirts. Who does that? I know it's trying to say, like, this is a man who obviously doesn't take care of himself as much as he should. I guess that's the take there. But realistically, I'm not saying you have to iron your shirts. I don't iron my shirts. But I am saying that if you hang your shirts up, they magically don't look like you crumpled them up like paper. This is a man who has deliberately made himself look disheveled. The only difference between this man's attire and this man's attire is layers. I could do another visual gag where I just go and I get my suit jacket, and then suddenly I'm like 12,000% more put together because my outfit has layers. Okay, so here he's ordering food online at work, I guess. And here he's texting his wife, I guess. He's ordering pizza. And this man is eating stuff his wife made, okay? I like how here the comparison is, because they're apparently right here next to each other. How much you want to bet the implication? Like this man drives everywhere and his car is beat up. This man, at least it's either the reflection or him actually having a beat up car. I don't know which one. I don't know. And then this one's in a taxi. I feel like the idea here is supposed to be like this man makes enough to have a taxi that takes him to and from, whereas this man has to, like a real plebeian, he has to move himself from front to back. This one's gonna buy flowers. The other one's not. So when we're doing the comparison here, why would this man who is single buy flowers? I can tell you that the last time I bought flowers was when I went out to eat with somebody that I liked. The other times, if I'm just going home to the turtle I apparently have in this scenario, I'm not going to buy flowers. Like, why is that comparison there? This man comes home, obviously late. This man comes home, his power's not working. Oh, he has a happy birthday. And this man has the power's out. Except except his lamp works, apparently. He's so sad and lonely. And this man is so happy. And we're supposed to believe these are the same people. So, all right. The idea is obvious. It's very, hey, go ahead and get yourself a wife, have kids. This is usually thrown through by conservative think tanks, and there is some merit to it, right? I understand the merit to it. The merit to it is you have an ideology that in order for it to survive needs more people to believe in it going forward. Now, what is more efficient? Is it more efficient to, as a conservative think tank, which this is produced by, is it more efficient to create the best 100% method to convert already existing people to your ideology, or is it better to take the people who are in your ideology and just tell them to have more babies? Because you believe that by them having more babies, they will instill those conservative values to their kids, and then those kids will grow up, and then they will have more conservative babies. If one side of this conflict is always having to convince people that it is right, and the other side doesn't have to do a whole lot of work, they just have to convince their side to fuck more? Do you see what's going on there? Like, we can go through all the ways in which the two sides are poorly misrepresented. There are people who are single, who are very, very happy as single. There are people in marriages who are very upset at those marriages, who feel like they've been locked into them because their spouse has a child with them that they didn't necessarily want to have. There's a lot of ways we can look at the propaganda, but the underlying thesis, the underlying thing is, it's a conservative's way to try to put the wet dream in your mind of having children, because this particular think tank may not necessarily need to convince you that what it's saying is real, what it's saying is true. It merely has to bank on having enough people within its ideology that are willing to have more kids. Statistically, a lot of people on the left do not have kids as often as conservatives do on the right, and there are infinitely more right-wing movements that are based on the idea of breeding than there are ideologies, toxic or otherwise, on the left that are based on the idea of breeding. The most we might have is maybe the memes, like the submissive and breedable memes, maybe, and that's not even purely a left-wing thing, that's just a standard thing on the internet. Whereas in conservative spaces, we actually have things like the Quiverful movement. We have arguments about the nuclear family being great. Polyamorous families don't tend to have as many kids. Atheists don't tend to have as many kids. LGBTQ couples don't tend to have as many kids as standard nuclear family models do. That doesn't make those relationships any better or worse. That is just a fact stated into the aether. The reason that fact matters is, like I said, how much legwork does a conservative have to do, a conservative think tank, when they know they've got people who already agree with their ideology, and all they have to do is convince them to breed? Those people already believe in all the weird horse shit you think. They're gonna pass that shit down to their kids. Now, whether or not their kids grow up and be as conservative as you, roll the die. But by and large, if the values they get, especially if they're religious values, happen to be passed down by you, they will at the very least take in those values and still be either Christian or Islamic or what have you, whatever you happen to bring down. That's how that propaganda works. That's what it's trying to do. It's not trying to convince you that it's right. It's trying to convince the people that are already in their echo chamber that they just need to have kids. It's not a thing we really do here on the left that much. And there is certainly an argument to be had about what happens to the numbers of people in your ideology if one ideology is literally breeding more members and the other is constantly having to recruit the old-fashioned way. Axolotl says, I was actually talking about today how I felt pressure to have kids for my conservative family. Yeah. And even though newer generations tend to be more progressive than previous ones because they grow up in a world where gay people are more accepted, trans people are more accepted, etc., so they naturally will take on those ideologies and go, okay, these are fine, these are normal. While that may be the case, it is still true that conservative outlets want their conservative constituents to breed more so that they have more people doing things like paying tithes to whatever church they happen to be in, because the likelihood of you being more conservative goes up if you happen to be in a conservative church. The likelihood of you being in a conservative church goes up if you're raised in a conservative church or a conservative mosque. Just maybe think about that when you look at propaganda like this. It's not always propaganda trying to convince you that the right is right or the left is right or what have you. Sometimes the propaganda is just speaking to its own audience. They're not trying to recruit, they're trying to manufacture. So you were raised in a conservative church and attended a liberal one, ironically the same denomination. Hey, it happens. I was raised in a conservative church and then didn't go to church anymore. I had a friend whose parents had a kid because they were told they should have a kid. Those parents should get a divorce, and my friend is miserable because of them. That happens. That happens. Like, I want to have kids at some point. Don't know with who, don't know with when, but at some point. But as of right now, I'm comfortable where I am, and I'm going to continue to be comfortable where I am. But that's important. Now, I do like how when you scroll down here, there are people who are replying to this. Women need to understand that without them, our lives are incomplete. I know how to cook, but will do it joyfully with a woman by my side. I can take care of my home, but it's sad to do it alone. It's not that men can't do anything alone. Women just bring light to our world. I agree, but, I mean, it could be done a little more gender neutrally. I agree that having a partner, in general, can potentially bring light to your world. Can. Sometimes it can infinitely make it worse. You can end up being incredibly miserable if you just go trying to find a partner just because you want a partner and you're not willing to curate who that partner is, or you don't have a good justification for why you have one particular partner or another. So kinda, I spoke too fast. Yeah, that's what I was getting to that. I was getting to that. Like, if you have a good partner, then yeah, life can get much better. But you have a bad partner, then life is better alone than with a bad partner. When you think of the way that propaganda is utilized, you don't just think of the ways that propaganda is trying to convince you that their side is correct. Think about things from the perspective of who the propaganda is aimed for, and think about what's going to happen. Somebody's going to look at that, and it's going to put the idea in their head. They're going to look at their wife and go, we should have a kid. And then that kid's going to get indoctrinated into Islam, Christianity, what have you. Obviously, it's aimed at Islam. It's aimed at Islam, and it paints a picture of a guy who's really lonely versus a guy who's really happy because he's got a family with kids. And it's going to try to push people to have that nuclear family, even if that's not necessarily something that's good for them or better for them. Also, Agamotto, thank you for redeeming your points for an ara. Some of us choose to be single because relationships have done us some form of damage. Some people function better without relationships. Some people function better in relationships that involve more people than what we normally would associate with a standard relationship. Some people function better in long-distance relationships than they do in regular-ass relationships where you live together with a nesting partner. It's different for everybody. But there are outlets that want to try to convince you, as this one has, that their way of thinking is the best way of doing things, that their method of going about life is the best way. And then you end up craving that life, even if that's not something that's good for you. But again, like I said a million times, I think the point is more so to try to get people to just do the thing, just get married, just have kids. Because the likelihood that a religion like Islam can proliferate gets much higher when people are having kids within it. Same thing with Christianity and any other religion under the sun. That said, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I know that there's only going to be maybe 6-ish episodes that are in Facecam mode, because that's how much content I've got planned for the stream that Facecam mode is set to. And then, of course, we're going to be going back to where my ugly mug gets hidden very properly behind a cartoon. But till then, let me know what you think. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, everyone, insert end of video tagline here.